You ever just wake up and want to make something crazy? Well, today that's the plan. Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to make a Damascus steel knife. I've even had the metal for it laying around in my shop for over 5 years now. And last weekend, I finally got the opportunity to go to my buddy's shop and forge up a billet. Welcome back. Today I'm with my buddy Miles, and we're at his shop, and we're going to forge up some Damascus. Say hi, Miles.
Hi, how's it going? It's good to be here. Yeah, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, alright.
To get started, I cut a bar of 15N20 and a bar of 1084 into 4-inch chunks, and then stack them in an alternating pattern. Then I zap them together with a TIG welder and stick them in the forge. After it gets good and hot, I coat both sides with borax. This acts as a flux and dissolves any oxides that would normally keep the metal from sticking together. Once the billet gets white hot, I stick it in the fancy hydraulic press. This smashes all the different layers together and causes them to become one piece of metal. Then I draw out my billet till it's 1/4 of an inch thick. After I let it cool down, I ground the side that I'm going to forge weld again, and then cut it into 2 6-inch bars. I also cut 2 more bars out of 1084 to make the core of my knife. This is what's known as a sanmai. Then once again, I zap it together, stick it in the forge, and draw it down to 1/4 of an inch. I rough cut it to length with an angle grinder before surface grinding it on the belt sander. A big thanks to Miles for helping me through the process. That was my first time ever forging Damascus. After I got back to the shop, I dipped it in the acid real quick just to see what the pattern's doing. I also drew out some plans for the knife and made a template so I can start cutting out. Got a shiny new angle grinder. I got tired of my old one with its no guard and numerous other safety violations. After grinding the blade to shape, I dipped it in some ferric chloride to see where the 1084 core is. It's a little bit off to one side, so I'm going to center it up on my belt sander. I got the thickness squared away, so now I'm going to put in a stamp. Then I'm going to make a set of file guides to help me grind in the belly. And there's a stamp. I was just going to buy a proper pair of carbide file guides, but the cheapest ones I could find were like 60 bucks. I cut out 2 little chunks of 1/4-inch mild steel, and then I drill a 1/4-inch hole in one and a size 3 tapping hole in the other. There's a lot of things you can get away with using the cheap tools, but tap and die sets are not one of them. I broke my cheap tap handle clean half in 2 and completely stripped the tap, and that's just in mild steel. Just look at how shiny and nice that is. Now I bolt the two pieces together, center punch them, and then drill a size 3 hole through both of them. Now on the top one, I widen out that size 3 hole with a 1/4 inch drill bit, and then tap the hole in the other piece. And there's your file guide. It's not perfect, but it'll work. Now I can grind the belly into the knife. After I get a good way into grinding, I do some test etches to see if the 1084 core is showing up evenly on both sides. Then I use files to cut in the swedge and clean up where the blade meets the guard. Alright, now that I'm finished grinding, I can harden the blade. To harden it, I'm going to heat it up till it no longer sticks to a magnet, and then quench it in canola oil. So the blade's hard as could be, but unfortunately we got a little bit of a warp right in the tip. In the past I've just been able to grind warping out, but on this knife I don't want to lose any length, so I'm going to try a technique in the tempering process. Into the oven for the first tempering cycle. Now that it's not quite so brittle, I'm going to clamp it to this piece of metal to straighten it out, and then stick it back in for one more cycle. And when that didn't work, I took matters into my own hands. You gotta be really careful when you do this, because it's pretty easy to snap the tip of your blade off. But thankfully it worked. After doing a final grind to clean off any oxides, it's time to hand sand. For the final etch, I stuck it in my ferric chloride 4 times for 10 minutes each, wiping off any loose oxides with a paper towel between each dip. And then I let it soak in some coffee for about 4 hours to darken the pattern. I feel like this project was a pretty good representation of a lot of the shenanigans and roadblocks you run into when making something. A lot of times the key to success is just perseverance and problem solving. And sometimes it's better tools. I'm building this knife in 2 parts because the handle's going to be pretty intricate too. I'm planning on doing a sterling silver guard, complete with a gemstone and some engraving, and rosewood for the rest of the handle. So if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching.